sorry, so I mean, postcode and everything is the same, yes? No,
Yes. Yeah, just come right here.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah, just come right here. So basically, I will be using two laptops.
Isak, what day is the beginning of it?
Today. Today.
Today, thank you.
Yeah, 5 days. Okay, so lie down in Shavasana. And spread across the top of the chest. Release, rest. See that you're at the center of your mat. See that the buttocks are lengthening down. You'll know that you're in the right position because the abdomen, you'll feel the abdomen just on a slight slope. It's not a steep slope. If the abdomen is on a steep slope, that means that the low back is being compressed. So instead, you have to really lengthen the buttocks and see that the pubic plate is more or less parallel with the floor. But the abdomen is not parallel with the floor because we've got the bolster. So the abdomen is just on a slight slope, and that angle of the abdomen assists you in helping to control the respiration. It gives you a little more access to the lungs, and also it gives space for the diaphragm. The diaphragm is allowed to have a little freedom here because of the support of the bolster. I'm coming out so I can watch. See that the chin is down. The chin should be lower than the forehead so that the consciousness flows from the forehead down toward the nose to the chin, chin to the throat, chest to the chin. So there's a slight Jalandhara Bandha in this position. It's not a particularly sharp Jalandhara Bandha like we do when we're seated, but it's still presenting the shape and the concept and the action of the Jalandhara Bandha. So like the pit of the throat, let the pit of the throat move back toward the neck. Let the back of the neck be long. Outer shins down, outer thighs down, abdomen soft. So we always start with just the normal breath. The normal breath and breath observation. Make sure that when you're inhaling that the chin doesn't rise up. Make sure that even as you're inhaling, the consciousness stays pulled in toward the trunk, not up toward the head. Release the hinge of the jaw. So a feeling of the jaw sliding toward the floor. And the tongue, tip of the tongue on the upper palate, but the rest of the tongue moving back and wide. Now, today, I invite you to picture the breath as a kind of an accordion, like a spring. And we have worked with the horizontal accordion in the past. Today, I invite you to picture the breath as a vertical accordion. So what I mean by that is to picture the diaphragm. We've talked a lot about the diaphragm. Picture the diaphragm moving down as you inhale and moving up as you exhale. And then notice how the entire trunk is shaped by that diaphragmatic movement. So as the diaphragm literally does not move that much. However, the energetic effect of the diaphragm moving up and down is huge. So have a feeling of the diaphragm moving down and the whole trunk getting longer. And then the diaphragm releases upward and there's a slight compression in the chest. So if you picture an accordion or a spring that gets elongated as you inhale, and then it slowly comes back to its original shape as you exhale, or its resting shape as you exhale. So there's a tremendous amount of energy in a spring, right? So let it be gentle. Don't let it be aggressive at all. Let it be gentle and mild. With pranayama, it's always better to err on the side of gentle and mild and subtle rather than gross and large and aggressive. Along with the thoracic diaphragm, you can add the awareness of the pelvic diaphragm. So now as you inhale, both diaphragms pull down, the whole trunk gets longer. And then as you exhale, both diaphragms lift up and the trunk returns to its original resting size and shape. So getting longer in the trunk as you inhale, and then slight compression as you exhale. In that exhale, feel how the abdomen naturally moves back and up. The pelvic floor is also on the exhales naturally moving up and back. Feel this rhythm through the entire trunk. Now begin to make the exhales just a little slower than the inhales. Don't overdo the inhale. Chin down, chin down. Not to overdo the inhale, but instead lengthen out the exhale. Just draw it out a little bit at a time. Don't immediately go for the Ujjayi exhale. Just kind of feel your way into the Ujjayi exhale. Bahya Ujjayi. Let your exhales become twice as long as the inhales. So however long you are inhaling, stretch the exhale out to be twice as long. Don't immediately go for a long breath. Just let it develop on its own. If at any point you feel breathless, then return to the resting breath for a few cycles. Now, if this is going well, add a small pause at the end of the inhale. So just a small inhale, a pause, and then a slow, soft exhale. So it's kind of like, you know, if you're like about to jump into a pool or a lake, you just pause before you jump in. Just for a couple of seconds. And if that's going well, you can also add a pause at the end of the exhale. So now a little pause between the inhale and the exhale. A little pause between the exhale and the inhale. Remember, with pranayama, you never want to be creating strain. So let the pauses be mild, be gentle. Finish this cycle. And then return to normal breathing. All right, so after you've returned to normal breathing, then fold your hands onto your trunk, bend your legs one at a time, and then roll to your side. Rest on your side for a few breaths. And then sit up. Okay. So 2 blankets. Sitting up on your bolster. Swastikasana. And then a little support under the knees. And if you wish some support. Hold on a second. So Swastikasana for pranayama, let's just talk about that for a moment. So bring the right leg in, have the right foot all the way wider than your outer thigh. So look how far my foot is. Okay, so the knee is coming more forward. And have the foot a little bit forward away from the bolster. And then the other leg comes in. So the knees are just a little bit wider than my hips. Just a little bit wider than my hips, but it's a kind of a tight pose. You know, so there are many different ways to sit cross-legged. You know, this is a Swastikasana is kind of a boxy, kind of a narrow position. All right, then have the blanket underneath to support the knees. The blanket underneath, it's more to kind of coach the knees to go downward, forward and downward, and to have just a little something to press the knees into. See that the blankets are not so thick that the knees are being raised up. So maybe just a little bit thinner, Alice, so that the direction of the knees is forward and down, okay? And notice that, move the buttock flesh out of the way. Notice that when you sit up really tall and you press the knees down slightly, not really a strong action, but just a gentle press of the knees, it gives kind of a rebound effect in the spine. You should be able to sit up even taller when you do that, okay? So understand the setups, the use of the props. Now, I always like to have a blanket on my lap. It's optional, but I find it helpful because then if I don't have the support, it's easy to kind of like, as I get tired, for the shoulders to round forward. But if I have a little height, then it gives me a little bit extra boost to stay tall. You know, it can be tiring to sit up this tall, cross-legged for 10, 15, 20 minutes. It can be tiring. So the lap blanket helps you to sit up a little taller. Okay, so now roll the upper arm bones out. First, take the hands a little wider than the lap, okay? Have the hands a little wide so that you can get the spread of the chest and the upper arm bones rotating outward. Then bring the hands in line with under the shoulders. Bring the hands under the shoulder, in line with the shoulders, okay? Lengthen the outer elbows down, roll the biceps out. So this is an asana. So we're not in a, informal seated position like you're watching a movie or something. This is an asana. So have a little pressure. Feel the weight of the hands into the blankets as you lengthen the elbows downward. Now from here, Jalandhara Bandha. Look slightly up to bring the cervical spine from back to front. And then take the hinge of the jaw, move it back and up as you bring your head down. So the throat moves back, chin down now. Jalandhara Bandha. Outer edge of the jaw moving back and up. Throat soft. Head down, Jalandhara Bandha. And then just take a slow, soft inhale. Feel the chest rising to meet the chin. Take a slow, soft exhale. We're going to use the same image of the accordion, okay, the vertical accordion. So as you inhale, the diaphragm, both diaphragms, thoracic and pelvic floor diaphragms, move down. The whole trunk gets longer. Do you feel the whole trunk getting longer as you inhale? And then as you exhale, the abdomen moves up and back, the pelvic floor moves up and back, the lungs empty out. And continue with this image from a seated position now. So the trunk getting longer on the inhales and then coming back to the original shape on the exhales. And it's a small movement, like I said, it's a small movement of the diaphragm. It only moves maybe a few inches, but the effect on the trunk is huge. So let the trunk move with the diaphragm, both diaphragms. Feel that elongation as you inhale and a slight compression as you exhale. It's a vacuum on a physiological level. It's a vacuum effect. It's a pumping effect. And then just like before, you can add a pause at the top of the inhale. And a pause at the end of the exhale. And so we're continuing the pattern of the longer exhale. So drawing out the exhale. See that the thumbs stay soft, the thumbs move in toward the index finger, okay? The thumbs tend to wing out. Don't let the thumbs wing out. Now, regarding the cross of the legs, I change the cross of the legs every day. So if you want, you can incorporate this into your practice. On the odd numbered days, I cross first with my left leg. On the even numbered days, I cross first with my right leg. So that's just a way for me to keep changing the interlock. Same thing with the hands in Shirshasana, so that you get used to both crosses. Keep the shoulders down, shoulders down. Okay, take one more cycle. And then return to normal breathing. When you've returned to normal breathing, then keep your eyes closed and bring your head up. And just sit quietly for a moment. All right, so let's just do, let's try 3 Viloma cycles, okay? So we'll do a Viloma exhale. So on the inhales, you're elongating the trunk, and then we'll do a 3-stage exhale. So then, now the diaphragm, like I said, the diaphragm itself only moves a little bit. So it's kind of moving up, up, up a little bit. But energetically, the prana is moving a lot. So divide up the exhale into 3 parts. You can picture the movement of the diaphragm, the thoracic diaphragm, but observe how the whole trunk is moving with that, okay? I'm not going to tell you exactly how to divide up the breath into 3 parts. I'm going to let you figure that out, okay? According to your capacity. So I'll talk you through the first cycle, and then you'll do 3 cycles on your own. Viloma exhale, okay? Inhale, lift the chest, exhale, bow your head down. And just take 1 preparatory breath here, slow soft inhale, and a slow soft exhale. And then slow soft inhale, feel the whole elongation of the trunk, vertical expansion of the trunk, And then 3-stage exhale. A little pause in between each stage. Keep your head down. So see if you can bring those 2 diaphragms to stillness, just for a few seconds. And then get ready, and then do 3 cycles on your own. If you need to take resting breaths in between, go ahead. So you have the capacity. The diaphragm will move on its own, but you also have the capacity to control the diaphragm to a certain extent. Stay alert in the spine. Keep moving the spine from back to front. Keep expanding across the collarbones. Keep lengthening the outer elbows down. Lift up through the inner upper arm. After you've done your 3 cycles, then just sit neutral with your head up and your eyes closed. When you're done, you can turn your palms down on the blanket. All right. So when you're finished, go ahead and lie down. Lie flat on your back unless you need support. All right, so I'm going to let you take Shavasana on your own. So you rest. Be here for at least 5 minutes. Hopefully you don't have to rush anywhere. And have a wonderful day. Let the breath just be soft, rhythmic, gentle and mild. Okay, take good care, everybody.